The forest had always been a special place for Lily. At 10 years old, she loved spending hours exploring, inhaling the scent of the trees, and listening to the sound of the creek. Her grandfather always said that nature had secrets to share. One just had to know how to listen. But that day, something felt different. The air was heavy, the silence was strange. And then Lily saw it. Among the trees, a huge shadow moved slowly, a bear. Lily felt her heart race. Her grandfather talked about bears all the time, but she had never seen one this close. It was enormous, with matted brown fur and deep-set eyes, but something was wrong. It wasn't growling, it wasn't charging, it was just looking at her. That's when Lily realized the bear was limping. Its body trembled with each step. It was hurt. But instead of hiding or running away, it stayed there, staring at her, as if it were asking for something. A chill ran down Lily's spine. A wild bear would never approach a human like this, unless it had no other choice. Her instinct told her to run, but something inside her held her back. The look in that bear's eyes wasn't one of threat, it was one of pain, of desperation. Lily had never felt anything like that before, as if somehow she understood that animal, and it understood her. For a moment, neither of them moved. It was just the two of them standing there in the middle of the forest, Lily and the bear. The girl's breathing was rapid and her heart pounded so hard that she could hear it. But suddenly the bear stumbled and fell onto its side. Lily took an involuntary step forward. It was still breathing, but it seemed to be giving up. She wanted to scream for help, but who could hear her in the middle of the forest? Who would believe her? Her grandfather always said that animals had a way of communicating with us, but what was that bear trying to say? What did it want from her? Lily swallowed hard. Every part of her body told her that this was madness, but for some reason she knew she couldn't just walk away. The bear lay on the ground, breathing heavily. Its heavy eyes were still fixed on Lily, as if pleading for something she couldn't understand. The girl felt a lump in her throat. What could she do? It was so big, so wild. But there, fallen, it seemed like just a scared and vulnerable animal. Then Lily saw it. The blood. A dark trail stained the ground beneath the bear, oozing from its hind leg. And when she looked closer, the shock made her knees weak. A spear was embedded in the animal's paw, long, rough, with the tip still glistening with fresh blood. Lily's eyes widened. Someone had tried to hunt it. Her chest tightened. Who would have done that? And worse, were they still nearby? A shiver ran down her spine. The wind rustled the trees, and for a moment, every sound in the forest felt like an invisible threat. Lily turned her head in every direction, but she saw no one. Just her and the injured bear. She knew she should leave, seek help. But from whom? Her grandfather was too far away. The village was almost an hour's walk. And what if the bear died before then? Lily felt her eyes sting. She couldn't leave it there. Swallowing hard, her thoughts raced to one place, the secret hideout. A small shelter her grandfather used when hunting, full of herbs and supplies. It wasn't far from there. If she could get there and back in time, maybe there was still a chance, but how would she get close enough to help? Lily looked at the bear once more. It was motionless, but its eyes didn't waver from hers. Would it trust her? And perhaps more importantly, would she have the courage to trust it? Lily knew that every second counted. But the idea of approaching that bear, her heart hammered in her chest. Her instinct screamed to run, but another part of her, a part she didn't even know existed, urged her to stay. It wasn't growling, it wasn't trying to attack her. It was just waiting. With trembling hands, she opened her water bottle. It was all she had at that moment. Maybe it was thirsty. Lily knelt slowly and, reaching out, let the water drip onto the ground right in front of it. If it refused, if it reacted in any way, she would know she was wrong. The bear stood still for a moment, its eyes half closed. Then, with a heavy movement, it raised its head and accepted. Its rough tongue touched the water, drinking slowly, never taking its gaze off Lily. The girl's heart leapt. It trusted her, at least a little. She felt a sudden relief, but she also realized what that meant. This bear needed her. and she was the only one who could help it. But there was still a problem. The spear. The wound wouldn't stop bleeding on its own. She needed to find the supplies. Lily looked at the trail that led to her grandfather's shelter. If she ran, she could return quickly. But what if the bear tried to follow her? What if another hunter showed up? Fear returned like a knot in her chest. What if, when she came back, it was too late? She took a deep breath. She had to believe that it would hold on. And before she left, she looked one last time into those brown eyes, trying to convey, without words, "I will be back. Please hang on." Then, with a heavy heart, Lily turned and ran toward the shelter. Lily ran as fast as she could. Her grandfather's shelter wasn't far, but each step felt like an eternity. Her mind spun in 1,000 directions. What if when she returned the bear wasn't there anymore? Or worse, what if it was, but too weak to keep fighting? When she reached the shelter, her fingers trembled as she gathered the supplies. Clean cloths, herbs to stop the bleeding, a small pocket knife. Her grandfather had taught her the basics of bandaging, but never on something so large. So wild. She sprinted back, her chest burning and breath short. The bear was still there. Lily felt an immediate wave of relief, but fear quickly returned. It looked even weaker, its heavy eyes, its slow breathing. There was no time to waste. She knelt beside it. Her hands were sweaty as she grabbed the knife. She needed to remove that spear, but what if it reacted? What if the pain made it forget that she was there to help? Lily took a deep breath. There was no other choice. With the utmost care, she grasped the spear and whispered, almost unconsciously, "It's going to hurt a little, but I promise it'll be okay." Then, with a firm motion, she pulled. The roar that echoed through the forest made Lily hold her breath. The bear writhed, its muscles tense, its claws sinking into the earth. For a second, she thought it would attack her, but then it simply stopped. Its body trembled, but it didn't try to escape. Lily didn't waste any time. She pressed the herbs against the wound, tying the cloths with all the care she could muster. Her heart raced out of control. Her hands were covered in blood, but she did her best to ignore the fear. Now, all she could do was wait. Wait and hope that it would hold on. The bear was breathing laboriously. Its massive body shivered, and Lily felt a chill in her stomach. She had done everything she could. But what if it wasn't enough? The blood wasn't flowing like before, but it was still so weak, so silent. She sat beside it, hugging her knees. Time seemed to stand still. With each passing minute, Lily waited for some reaction, any sign of improvement. But the bear just lay there motionless. What if it never got up again? The wind blew cold through the trees. The sky was beginning to darken, and a new fear took hold of her. What if other predators showed up? An injured bear was an easy target, and she was just a girl. But then, she looked at it again and felt a tightness in her chest. If she left now, she would be giving up. She remembered her grandfather's stories about how animals sense when someone wants to help them. What if he knew she was there for him? Lily couldn't explain it, but she felt that somehow he understood. And for that reason, she needed to stay. Night fell slowly. Fatigue weighed heavily on her, but Lily fought against sleep. The bear was still breathing, even if slowly. That meant it was still fighting, so she would fight too. It was only when the rain started to fall that something changed. The cold drops touched the bear's fur and it moved. Just a little, but enough for Lily to hold her breath. Was he reacting? She leaned in closer, her heart racing. If he had held on this long, maybe there was hope. When the sun began to rise, Lily felt her heavy eyes open slowly. She had fallen asleep. Her heart raced as she remembered the bear, and her first instinct was to look at him. He was still there, but something was different. The bear didn't seem as weak anymore. Its breathing was stronger, its gaze more alert. And then, to Lily's surprise, it tried to stand up. It stumbled a bit, but managed to get on its feet. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. A warm relief spread through her chest. He survived. Against all odds, against all fear, he made it. And somehow, Lily felt that this hadn't happened by chance. The bear looked at her for a moment. Its eyes no longer held the same desperation from the night before. Now there was something different there, something Lily would never forget. And then, in an almost unbelievable way, he approached her. Slowly, no rush. Lily felt her breath catch as the bear lowered its head and nudged her hand with its snout. It was quick, just a moment, but it was enough for her to understand. He was thanking her. Tears welled up unexpectedly. She had never imagined something like this. She had never thought that a wild bear would trust her in such a way. But there he was, showing that he understood, that he knew what she had done. But before Lily could say anything, a distant sound made her freeze, a noise coming from the forest, heavy footsteps. And in that instant, she knew. They weren't alone. The noise came again, heavy footsteps breaking branches approaching quickly. Lily felt a shiver run down her spine. Someone was coming. And it wasn't just anyone. Her heart told her that the hunters were back. The bear heard it too. Its body tensed, ears perked. It didn't seem weak anymore, but it was still hurt. If those men found him now, he wouldn't stand a chance. Lily looked at him and then at the path between the trees. They needed to get out of there. But where to? The bear was too large to run without being noticed. What if the hunters had dogs? Desperation grew inside her. If he stayed, it would be the end. If he tried to escape, he could be hunted. Lily's heart raced as she heard a voice. Men talking softly but close enough for her to know they were nearby. She couldn't make out the words, but the tone, it was threatening. The bear growled low and Lily instinctively touched its paw as if to say for it to stay quiet. She needed to think. There was a chance. A single chance. Her grandfather's shelter was nearby. If they could get there, they could hide until the hunters left. But time was running out. The footsteps were getting closer. Fear tightened in Lily's chest. She had never been this close to danger before. But she had also never been so sure that she couldn't give up. She looked at the bear one last time and whispered, "Trust me." Then, with no time left for doubts, she got up and started to run. Lily ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest. The bear followed her. Even injured, it forced its body to continue, as if it understood that this was its only chance. But the hunters were close. Then a loud crack echoed through the forest. A gunshot. Lily felt a sharp chill in her chest and stopped abruptly. The bear stopped too. For a second, everything fell silent. Had it been hit? The bear turned slowly and Lily held her breath. Nothing. The shot had missed, but that only meant one thing. They were shooting to kill, and this time they wouldn't miss again. But before Lily could think of what to do, a new sound filled the forest. A roar, loud, intense, and it didn't come from the bear she had saved. From the underbrush, massive shadows began to emerge. Other bears, first one, then two, until 4 bears appeared, positioning themselves around Lily and the injured bear. They weren't alone. The hunters' voices turned into terrified shouts. The snapping of branches indicated that they were retreating. And then they disappeared. No more gunshots, no more chase. Just silence. They had won. Lily looked at the bear beside her. It gazed at her one last time, as if saying everything words could never express. Then, without a hurry, it turned and disappeared into the forest, with its family. She never saw him again, but she never forgot. Some connections simply cannot be explained. Lily was just a girl, and that was a wild bear. In any other situation, their paths should never have crossed. But on that day, in the middle of the forest, when he needed it most, she was there. And maybe that's the true meaning of courage. It's not about having no fear. It's about looking at fear and still choosing to do what is right. Lily could have run. She could have turned her back. But she stayed. She chose to believe. The bear never said a word. It could never thank her with human words. But in that last look before disappearing into the forest, it said everything. And Lily knew that moment would stay with her forever. In the end, this story isn't just about a girl and a bear. It's about empathy. It's about looking at someone, whether human or animal, and seeing that their pain matters too. That sometimes a simple act of kindness can change a whole life. Maybe that bear never forgot Lily. Maybe, somewhere in the forest, he still remembers the girl who chose to help him when no one else would. But one thing is certain. Lily never forgot him. And you? What did you think of this story? Do you believe that animals understand when we want to help them? Have you ever experienced something similar? Share with us in the comments. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to leave a like. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more touching stories like this one. Until next time.